India's property footprint in Melbourne is not a trend, it's a structural shift. Target price band is very specific, 580 to 750,000. A $1 billion town centre underway, and then a completely different market. Melbourne was most searched Australian city by Indian buyers. Not Sydney, it's Melbourne. The demographic infrastructure data is a suburb specific, not corridor wide. It emerges from sustained structural demand that has been compounding for more than a decade. 1 in 3 new house and land sales in Greater Melbourne right now is going to an Indian background buyer. Not 1 in 10, not 1 in 5, 1 in 3. And here is what the number means for the city. India is now the #1 country of birth outside Australia in Greater Melbourne. 330,000 India-born residents, up from 161,000 in 2016, doubled in 8 years. The visa pipeline that feeds the number is running at record levels right now. But there is a question that the headline number doesn't answer. Which Melbourne suburbs are actually seeing this demand? And what are the prices, the yields, the growth rates, and which suburbs are next? I'm Ankar. This is Next House. Today, I'm mapping exactly what the data shows, suburb by suburb, number by number. The demand is not spread evenly across Melbourne. It concentrates in 3 distinct corridors. The Western Corridor, Tarneit, Trigunaina, Point Cook, Hoppers Crossing, Wyndham Vale. In Tarneit alone, 23.8% of residents are India-born, against a Melbourne metro average of 4.8%. That is 6 times the city average in a single suburb. The Northern Corridor, Craigieburn, Mickleham, Wollert, Calcalo, Marondah, Epping. India-born share here running at around 18% and rising fast. These are the next wave suburbs. We'll get to them. The Southeast Corridor, Clyde North, Cranbourne East, Melbourne, Berwick, Pakenham, Officer. Clyde North, India is the #1 ancestry group, 18.4% India-born. A $1 billion town centre underway, and then a completely different market, the Eastern Premium Belt, Wen Waverley, Doncaster, Box Hill. India-born share here is around 8%, but the median house prices at 1.7 million or above. Same broad demographics, completely different property story, different price point, different buyer profile, different investment logic. That gap is the most important thing to understand before you look at any individual suburb. Let me put the underlying numbers on the table. India-born residents, Melbourne population is 87,000 in 2006, 161,000 in 2016, 242,000 in 2021, tracking towards 330,000 by end of 2024. Every 5 years, up by 50,000 to 80,000 without a pause. Now the visa pipeline. In 2024-2025, Australia granted 48,326 permanent visas to Indian nationals. That is approximately 1 in 4 of all permanent residents Australia took in. 1 in 4. Victoria captures roughly about 30% of the national skilled migrant intake. What this means for housing demand. This is not one cycle trend. It is a structural, sustained migration flow. The same flow that drove Tarneit's transformation between 2015 and 2021 is now being repeated in Wollert, Mickleham, Calcalo, Clyde North, and Cranbourne East. The pipeline has not slowed, it has accelerated. Here is how the property purchase pattern actually works. Stage 1 arrival, rental accommodation in inner and middle suburbs, close to universities, public, transport, employment. Stage 2 stabilization, permanent residency is granted, income is stabilized, deposit is built, the location starts moving outward. Stage 3, the first purchase, and this is where Melbourne's outer suburb, house and land market lights up. The target price band is very specific, 580 to 750,000. Why that band? Because it captures the Victorian first homeowner run, 10,000 for new builds under 750k, and the stamp duty exemption below 600. And because house and land packages in that price range typically deliver a 4-bedroom home on a lot large enough for future multi-generational living. Stage 4, the upgrade. 5 to 10 years post-purchase, the income profile has changed. The first home is often retained as an investment. The upgrade goes either laterally, a larger home in the same corridor, or eastward into the premium school catchment belt. 4 stages, a 15-year arc, and right now, hundreds of thousands of households are at different points in that pipeline across Melbourne's 3 growth corridors. Let me show you the data. Before I do, a quick note, everything from here is general information only, not financial advice. Always speak with a licensed buyer's agent, financial advisor for your specific situation. Starting with the most established suburb, Thanit, postcode 3029, median house price 650k, India bond share 28.8%, gross yield 4.2%, and the number that matters most, postcode 3029 is Victoria's highest volume property postcode by total sales count quarter after quarter. That is concentrated, sustained demand. Craigieburn, Northern Corridor, 670k median, 12 months growth, 4.5%, yield 4.33%, a suburb that has been absorbing strong demand consistently for more than a decade. Clyde North, Southeast Corridor, 900k median house. India is the number one ancestry group, $1 billion town center underway. New secondary college open 2025. Pakenham, 700k median, 6.9%, 12-month growth, fastest growing postcode in the Southeast Corridor. Vacancy under 2%. And Glen Waverley, completely different markets, 1.7 million median house and rising. India born at 8% of the suburb. This is not a volume play, this is school catchment buy. Different investor profile, different price point. The same broad demographic, two completely different investment cases. Three data signals confirm this is structural. Signal 1, search data. PropTrack's October 2024 overseas search report found Melbourne searches from India up 23% year on year. Melbourne was most searched Australian city by Indian buyers. Not Sydney, it's Melbourne. Signal 2, sales crossover. In 2018, India background buyers accounted for 18% of new Melbourne house and land sales. By 2024, that number is 33%. And in 2023, for the first time, India background buyers overtook Australian born buyers as the largest single buyer group in new estates. Signal 3, postcode concentration. Postcode 3029, 333030, postcode 3978. These three postcodes, Thanit, Hoppers Crossing, and Clyde North, dominate Victoria's top 10 sales in volume list every single quarter. That concentration pattern does not emerge from a temporary trend. It emerges from sustained structural demand that has been compounding for more than a decade. Three independent signals, all pointing in the same direction. Now the investment question. Which suburbs are now where Thanit was in 2014? Demographic foothold established, prices still under 700k, infrastructure committed. Wollert, postcode 3750, population grew 169% between 2016 and 2021. That is one of the fastest growth rates of any Victorian suburb in that period. Unit yield 5.05%, units up 13.8% year on year. Epping, hospital nearby, Edgar's Road extension committed. This suburb is in the middle of its transformation, not at the start, not at the end. The middle, which is exactly where you want to be. Mickleham and Calcalo, postcode 3064, the Cloverton Estate, Victoria's largest master planned community. Population in Calcalo grew from 105 residents in 2016 to 5,548 in 2021. A planned hospital, a future station, entry prices still under 700k. Clyde North and Cranbourne East, India has the number one ancestry in Clyde North, $1 billion town center under construction, new secondary college open 2025. Cranbourne East yield 4.8% with 4.2% growth. And Pakenham 6.9% 12-month growth. The Metro Tunnel City Link operational from February 2026, vacancy under 2%. Not every outer suburb is a buy. Rockbank, negative 12-month growth, land oversupply. Clyde North, auction clearance 14.3%. Wyndham Vale, vacancy running at 3.78%. The demographic infrastructure data is a suburb specific, not corridor wide. Postcode matters. Three clear profiles, strong case, a first home buyer targeting 580k to 750,000 in Wollert, Mickleham, Clyde North, or Cranbourne East, planning to hold for 5 years plus. The SHOG eligibility outer suburb price point and the demographic demand flow make a strong combined case. Investor yield and growth focus, outer corridor suburbs with 4% plus yield, Wollert, Cranbourne East, Pakenham. The demographic tailwind provides a structural rental demand floor that is unlike most other parts of Melbourne. Understand the builder insolvency risk. before signing any house and land contract. Fixed price contracts have caught buyers out in this market. One risk to name directly. SBS Punjabi has documented bank undervaluations of 5 to 20% near settlement in some outer suburbs. Banks value the property independently from what you paid at contract. If the bank comes in lower, you fund the gap. This has got out a significant number of first home buyers. Get an independent valuation before you exchange contracts, not after. Proceed with caution. Rock Bank, negative growth over supply confirmed. Wyndham Vale vacancy at 3.78%. Any fixed price build contract without checking the builder's financial position first. India's property footprint in Melbourne is not a trend, it's a structural shift, underpinned by sustained migration, a first home buyer price pipeline, and a demographic demand floor across three district growth corridors. 33,000 residents, 48,000 permanent visas per year, one in three new estate sales, and three corridors of next wave suburbs. Still in the early stages of that transformation. The map has already been rewritten. The question is whether you are reading the new one. If this gave you something you didn't have before, subscribe. Drop your question in the comments. I read every single of them. This is a next house. The data is always yours. One last thing. Everything I said today is general information only, not a financial advice. Please speak with a licensed financial advisor and a buyer's agent before who know your situation. I'll see you in the next one.